Na-hold up ang isang pampasaherong jeep sa Quezon City.
Nakunwaring pasahero ng jeep, yun pala hold upper. Pero
Asay na mga professional hold-upper ang makakasabay nila sa biyahe.
The case of people of the Philippines versus Dante Piandong, Jesus Morallos, and Archie Bulan is a landmark decision that highlights how the law responds to heinous crimes such as robbery with homicide. It demonstrates the court's firm stance that when life is taken with violence and cruelty, the law must impose the gravest penalty to protect society and uphold justice.
The people call Percival Katindig to the stand.
Mr. Katindig, please narrate what happened inside the jeepney that night.
Your Honor, that night, a group of people boarded...
On February 21, 1994, at about 10 o'clock in the evening, Percival Katindig boarded a public utility jeepney bound for Novaliches with his companions, namely PO1 Jerry Perez, Leonesa S. Bacay, and Rowena Ray Bunoria. After covering the distance of 500 meters, the vehicle stopped and there are 5 to 6 men boarded the said jeepney at Malaria Street, Caloocan City. After the vehicle traveled for a distance of another 500 meters, one of the 3 men declared for hold up.
Hold up to! Walang kikilos na masama! Isang maling galaw! Patay tayong lahat! May granada ako! Akin ang bag! Pera! Akin na! Lagay! Akin ang bag mo! Pulis ka pala!
The blooded police officer then pleaded that he be brought to the hospital, but in response, the culprits confiscated the victim's service pistol, his 2 rings, and his necklace.
Tara na! Naling mo ako sa ospital! Tulong! Akala mo kung sino ka? Pulis ka? Ito sa'yo!
The police officer Perez and then grab his things.
Your Honor, Archie Bulan is one of the perpetrators during the crime po. And he was the one holding the gun po. I don't know where exactly he was seated during that time, but he was one of the men who threatened to kill us po, Your Honor.
Can you identify the attackers?
That's him, Your Honor.
Sila talaga yun. Hindi ako magkakamali kasi kitang-kita ko talaga sila.
Your Honor, the evidence is overwhelming. These men conspired to rob and kill. It is a well-settled rule that when a homicide takes place as a consequence or even on the occasion of a robbery, those who took part in the robbery are guilty as principals of the crime of robbery with homicide, even though they did not actually take part in the homicide. In the present case, Your Honor, there's no evidence that Bulan and Morallos prevented Piandong from shooting PO1 Jerry Perez. Therefore, their liability should be the same as that of Piandong, and the penalty should be death.
The prosecution relies only on the word of the witnesses. The police lineup was irregular. My clients were at home that night. This is a mistaken identity. Their defense is their alibi. They were not at the scene.
Alibi cannot prevail against positive identification, Your Honor. The witnesses had no reason to falsely accuse them.
Wherefore, in view of the foregoing considerations, the court finds accused Dante Piandong E. Calda, Jesus Morallos E. Calda, and Archie Bulan E. Ampulan guilty beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of robbery with homicide, and sentence each of them to suffer the maximum penalty of death.
So ordered. Since the penalty imposed is death, the Supreme Court automatically acquires jurisdiction to review the case. The Supreme Court holds that the lower court did not err in imposing the maximum penalty of death. The commission of robbery with homicide was attended by the aggravating circumstance of bond having been perpetrated by more than 3 male factors who acted together in the commission thereof. Without any mitigating circumstance to offset the same, the penalty imposable under paragraph 1 of Article 294 of the Revised Penal Code as amended by Republic Act 7659 is death, the maximum penalty. The act of the accused appellant before alighting from the jeepney in shooting PO1 Gary Perez at the right side of his cheek while he was already mortally wounded, crumpled, and unconscious in the embrace of his girlfriend, Leonisa Bacay, patently reveals the brutality, mercilessness, wickedness, viciousness, atrocity, perversity, and malevolence of the accused appellants, which calls for the condign punishment of death as mandated by law. Upon careful review, the Supreme Court affirmed the decision of the lower court with cause against accused appellant. Upon finality of this decision, the records of this case was forwarded to the Office of the President for possible exercise of the pardoning power.
The reintroduction of death penalty in 1993 led to the sentencing of Dante Piandong, Jesus Morallos, and Archie Bulan in 1994, and their eventual execution by lethal injection in 1999. Their case highlighted the violation of right to life, the fundamental guaranteed under the Constitution and international law, as they were sentenced to death despite of serious allegation of torture in breach of Section 3, Article 3 of the Constitution, which prohibits torture and the use of coerced confession. The death penalty was seen unconstitutional because it ignores due process, disregarded mitigating circumstances just like their voluntary surrender, and demonstrate that the death penalty is final, irreversible punishment that can violate rights and inherent dignity of human life.